A very good afternoon and welcome to the Ambassador, where we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics. I am your Ambassador Susan Nganga. Now to our top story. Angola has stepped in to mediate direct talks between the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda-backed M23 rebels, aiming to ease escalating tensions in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. While the M23 has welcomed the initiative, Kinshasa remains hesitant, having consistently refused negotiations with the rebel group. Here's more on that report.
Angola has announced plans to mediate direct negotiations between the Democratic Republic of Congo and the Rwanda-backed M23 rebels in the coming days. This initiative aims to establish a lasting ceasefire and reduce regional tensions. The Congolese government, which has consistently refused to engage in talks with M23, has yet to confirm its participation. A presidential spokesperson acknowledged Angola's initiative, while an M23 deputy spokesperson praised it as a victory of reason and confirmed the group's readiness to engage in talks. The conflict in eastern DRC has intensified since January, with M23 rebels seizing significant territories, including major cities. Angola has been actively mediating to de-escalation tensions between the DRC and Rwanda. In August 2024, Angola brokered a fragile truce which eventually collapsed due to renewed hostilities. Previous attempts at peace talks have faced challenges, including a summit in December 2024 that was called off after disagreements between the parties involved. Paris Kigo, GBS News.
Prime Minister Luis Montenegro, center-right minority government, has collapsed following a failed vote of confidence in parliament. The motion was rejected amid allegations of conflict of interest involving a consultative firm Montenegro founded, now run by his sons. President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa is set to consult with political parties and the Council of State with a potential snap election expected by mid-May. Here is more on that.
The center-right minority government led by Prime Minister Luis Montenegro collapsed after losing a vote of confidence in parliament. The motion was rejected with 142 votes against and 88 in favor amid allegations of conflicts of interest regarding a consultancy firm Luis founded, now run by his sons. Luis denied any wrongdoings, but his defense failed to sway the lawmakers. The government has now entered a caretaker role, and President Marcelo Rebelo will consult with the political parties and the Council of State to determine whether to call a snap elections, which could occur in mid-May. Luis was trying to avoid this by proposing a parliamentary inquiry into his family's company, but opposition parties rejected this offer. Political analysts predict no clear winner in the upcoming elections, as public opinion polls shows little change in support for the two main parties. Many voters are frustrated by the frequent elections and political instability, with some questioning the responsibility of the country's politicians. Triza Tiengo, GBS News.
Now, cobalt prices soared this week, fueled by panic over the Democratic Republic of Congo's export ban on the critical battery material. Trading was halted on China's stainless steel exchange after prices sparked nearly 12%, marking the highest jump since October. This move has sent shockwave through global markets, prompting major producers to adjust their strategies in response. Here's more on that story.
Cobalt prices surged this week, driven by concerns surrounding the Democratic Republic of Congo's unexpected export ban on the precious battery material. On China's stainless steel exchange, trading was temporarily suspended after prices leapt nearly 12%, reaching their highest point since October. The surge is a direct result of the Congolese government's decision to impose a 4-month moratorium on cobalt exports aimed at addressing an oversupply in the market. The ban has sparked panic across the global cobalt market, where prices had recently fallen to their lowest levels in 9 years. Just 2 weeks ago, cobalt prices dipped to $22,000 per metric ton, forcing many stakeholders to reassess their positions. The ban is part of an effort by the DRC, the world's largest producer of cobalt, to stabilize the market and increase the price of the critical material, which is essential for the production of electric vehicle batteries. Authorities in the DRC have promised to review the export moratorium, though it remains unclear how this will impact future supply chains. Market watchers and analysts are closely monitoring the situation, as further price volatility could have significant implications for the global battery industry. Reporting for GBS News, Irene Juguna.
At least 6 people are killed on Tuesday after Al-Shabaab militants attacked a hotel in Beledweyne, Somalia, where local leaders and officials were meeting. The attackers detonated a car bomb before storming the building, triggering an intense gunfight with security forces. Among the dead are 2 prominent traditional elders, with several others have been hospitalized. Here's more on that.
At least 6 people were killed on Tuesday when Al-Shabaab militants attacked a hotel in Beledweyne, Somalia, where local elders and government officials were meeting. The attackers detonated a car bomb before storming the building, triggering an intense gunfight with Somali security forces that lasted into the afternoon. Footage from the scene showed heavy destruction, a thick plumes of smoke rising from the hotel. Al-Shabaab, which has ties to Al-Qaeda, claimed responsibility for the attack, alleging they had killed over 10 people. 2 prominent traditional elders were among the dead, while several others were hospitalized. The elders had been meeting with officials to discuss strategies to counter Al-Shabaab influence in the region. Beledweyne, the capital of the Hiran region, is a strategic location in Somalia's ongoing military operations against the militant group. Despite continuous effort by Somali troops and African Union peacekeepers, Al-Shabaab remains a persistent threat, frequently carrying out bombings and attacks targeting government and security forces. Paris Kigo, GBS News.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Mauritius on Tuesday for a 2-day visit, during which he will be guest of honor at the island's nation's 57th National Day celebrations. He was met at the airport by his counterpart Navichara Ramgolan, who returned for his 3rd stint in office in 2024. Prime Minister Modi is also due to hold meetings with the country's top leaders. The agenda will be the upgrading of bilateral and strategic ties and discussions of reinforcing their partnership for security and development in the Indian Ocean region. Modi paid his respects to Mauritius' former Prime Minister and laid a wreath in his botanical garden. His visit comes days after the United States President Donald Trump said he will support a deal between Mauritius and Britain over the future of a joint United States-British military base in the Chagos Islands. New Delhi has historically backed Mauritius' claims over the Indian Ocean archipelago.
On reinforcing their partnership for security and development.
And that international news brings us to a very fast break. We'll be back after this break. Stay tuned.
Hello, kids. Did you know a year has 31,557,600 seconds? Why do you think so? Exactly. There are 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day, and 365 days in a year. We count the extra 0.25 because of leap years. When you multiply all these numbers together, you get a huge number of seconds. That's why a year feels long, but time still flies when you are having fun.
what is always before you but can't be seen.
Kudiscover talent.
Kudiscover. Ulijuangaje like unaweza imba, like yeah.
Kini Trace Jumi Kipchoge kwa ngoma na mfala wananidis na wanabonga kwa ngoma, mafanjo wananipenda ndo nazidi kwa roga, wenye walenjaribu manze walishachoka na nikozabe meditation naendelesha generation niliofanya kalki.
Wewe at 1 year old ulikuwa unafanya nini? You're feeling the vibe. Ulitoa a few days ago, unaweza taka utuambie like ulikuwa unafikiria nini when you came up with the lyrics? Yeah.
So I'm doing my thing. Don't try and stop me when I'm doing my thing. I'm tryna boss, let me do my thing. And if you're tryna win, you can be on my team. Yeah, so I'm doing my thing. Don't try and stop me when I'm doing my thing. I'm tryna boss, let me do my thing.
You feel like you're young at heart, I'm an old soul. If you could only listen to one singer or band for the rest of your life, who will you choose?
And the question of the day is, can you survive without internet?
Ngumu, plus kwa chile hizo story tu zote zikupite ni ngori.
Niwaambie ukweli. Like hii ni kama kuambia mtu mwenye alikuwa amezoea kushindana nguo, mwambie toa nguo ushinde uchi. Hiyo huku atriki kwa sababu sasa like ilikuwa imekuingia kwa kichwa kabisa.
Sasa unaweza kaa holi ya bila simu.
Kuspend hii most of the time kwa simu. Also you need to run skills. So nilipatana na later hapa nikapo-apply huko. And then I started learning skills. Digital skills.
Yes, hadi siku mbili haiwezi.
Kwa wiki naachilia hata kama ni siku mbili ama sometimes na extend to wiki nzima. Napata shiki simu yangu.
Water remains to be the world's most precious commodity, but is the most misused. Times of drought, saving water is the only solution to making sure you have it. Don't use the shower when water is scarce. Instead, use the basin while bathing. Repair all leaking taps and pipes. Wash your car only whenever necessary. If not, use a piece of cloth to wipe it clean. Do not use the hose pipe to water your garden. Instead, use the water you clean your vegetable with to water your flowers. Do not release wastewater into rivers. Note that your downstream is someone else's upstream. Of all the waters available on Earth, only 1% is fit for human consumption. Every drop counts.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to the bulletin now. The captain of the Solong has been arrested following yesterday's collision with the Stena Immaculate of the East Yorkshire coast on suspicion of gross negligence manslaughter. One crew member from the Solong is missing and presumed dead. Both ships sustained significant damage, but authorities say they are expected to stay afloat as investigation continue and salvage operation get underway.
The captain of the Solong, a Portuguese-flagged cargo ship which collided with the US-registered oil tanker Stena Immaculate, a 59-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of gross negligence manslaughter after a crew member from the cargo ship was reported missing. The missing crew member is now presumed dead following the end of the search operation.
Search and rescue operations for the missing sailor continued throughout yesterday, but were called off yesterday evening at the point of which the chances of their survival had unfortunately significantly diminished. Our working assumption is that, very sadly, that the sailor is deceased. The Coast Guard has informed the company and it has been advised to inform the next of kin. Our thoughts are with the sailors' loved ones at this time.
Both ships sustained significant damage. However, authorities have confirmed that both vessels are expected to stay afloat.
Suggests that should the Solong remain afloat, it will remain clear of land for the next few hours. The assessment of His Majesty's Coast Guard is, however, that it is unlikely the vessel will remain afloat.
The Stena Immaculate carrying jet fuel suffered multiple explosions, but there is no evidence of pollution from the incident. A criminal investigation is underway led by Humberside Police, while Maritime and Coast Guard Agency is also involved in determining the cause of the collision. All the 23 crew members aboard the Stena Immaculate are safe and have been brought to the shore, while the Solong is still being monitored. Efforts are underway to tow the Solong away from the shore, while salvage operations expected to begin soon. Tiza Tiengo, GBS News.
Trump defends tariffs amid market turmoil. Despite stock losses and business concerns, the president stands by his trade policies, claiming they are delivering results. Here's more on that.
President Donald Trump defended his use of tariffs, dismissing concerns about market instability caused by global trade tensions. Speaking to business leaders in Washington, he claimed his trade policies were already delivering results.
We have car companies that are not building in Mexico now, they're building in the United States. Some of them, the plants were already started and they stopped construction, and now they're going to build in the United States. It was very unfair that they'd build in Mexico and sell them across the border with no tax, no nothing.
However, some of the 100 CEOs in the audience may have been uneasy. U.S. stocks have lost about $4 trillion in value recently due to fears over the trade war. Businesses are also frustrated by the unpredictability of tariffs, which have been imposed, delayed, raised and lowered multiple times. On Tuesday, Trump initially said he will double tariffs in Canadian metals to 50%, in response to Ontario's plan to impose tariffs on USA electricity. Hours later, Ontario dropped its plan and Trump kept the tariffs at 25%. This added to market uncertainty, causing stocks to drop again. Despite hopes for Ukraine's ceasefire, major retailers like Kohl's warned that economic troubles were hurting sales. The Dow Jones Index fell another 1% by the end of the day.
The tariffs are having a tremendously positive impact. They will have, and they are having.
Trump, however, remained firm. He said tariffs will bring in a lot of money for the U.S. and could be increased even further soon. Vivian Scalabo, GBS News.
Thank you, Vivian, for that report. Now, in a troubling incident in the Israeli-occupied West Bank, hundreds of sheep were reportedly stolen from a community in the Jordan Valley by armed Israeli settlers. The attack, which occurred near the village of In al-Ouja, is one of the largest in a series of escalating tensions between settlers and the Bedouin communities in the region, particularly since the Gaza conflict began. Local residents say the scale of this attack, which involved about 1,500 sheep and goats, is unprecedented. Abdi Ahmed Ali has more on that report.
Israeli settlers arrived with pickup trucks and drove away with a large number of sheep and goats from the Bedouin encampment under the watch of Israeli police and soldiers. The settlers, some armed, claimed that the Bedouins had stolen their sheep, though local residents insist the animals were taken by force. Activists from the Israeli human rights group Mr. Alim captured footages of the settlers herding the animals away. For the Bedouin families in the Jordan Valley, the loss of a flock is not just an economic hardship, it's a loss of livelihood. Many believe these incidents are part of a broader strategy to displace them from their land, clearing the way for more Israeli settlement expansion. As speculation grows about a potential Israeli annexation of the West Bank under US support, the pressure on Bedouin communities have intensified. Despite these challenges, local leaders and activists continue to call attention to these injustices, though their attempts to seek justice are often thwarted by delays and bureaucratic obstacles. This incident is a stark reminder of the ongoing struggles faced by the Palestinian communities in the West Bank, where the loss of land and livelihood continues to shape the lives of Bedouin families. As tension rises and international scrutiny increases, the fate of the Jordan Valley remains uncertain. Without meaningful intervention, these attacks may continue to escalate, further deepening the divide between settlers and Palestinians in the region. The situation in Ain al-Uja underscores the critical need for a resolution that respects the rights and dignity of the people who call the land their home. This is Abdihamid Ali, GBS News.
The United States Department of Education announced on Tuesday that it will lay off nearly half of its staff, potentially signaling the closure of the department entirely. This follows President Donald Trump's Thursday deadline for government agencies to submit plans for a second round of mass layoffs, raising concerns over the future of education services in the United States. Here's more on that.
The United States Department of Education has revealed plans to lay off nearly half of its workforce. The terminations, announced Wednesday, are part of a broader initiative to meet President Donald Trump's Thursday deadline for government agencies to submit plans for a second round of mass layoffs.
The Department of Education, it seems like so many buildings I ride by, it says Department of Education. They're all over the place. And we don't even want it. We want the education to be given by the states. It'll be much better. It'll move us to the top of the list from the bottom of the list.
The department, which oversees over $1.6 trillion in college loans, enforces civil rights laws in schools, and provides federal funding to needy districts, described the layoffs as part of its final mission. The announcement came as President Trump continues his push to eliminate the Department of Education, a move that could have profound implications for millions of students, educators, and schools across the country. While the layoffs are set to significantly impact the department's ability to function, there are growing concerns about what this will mean for the millions of Americans relying on federal student loans and educational support. The closure of the department will likely disrupt federal oversight of civil rights laws in schools and leave vulnerable schools districts without critical financial support. As government agencies scramble to meet the president's deadline, many are questioning the future of the United States education system. Reporting for GBS News, Irene Juguna.
In a significant development, the United States has agreed to resume military aid and intelligence sharing with Ukraine, following Kyiv's readiness to support a 30-day ceasefire proposal with Russia. The joint agreement was made after more than 8 hours of discussions between United States and Ukrainian officials in Saudi Arabia. United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio emphasized that the next step is to present the proposal to Russia, leaving Moscow to decide whether to engage in peace talks. Abdihamid Ali brings us that report.
After a series of intense talks, the United States and Ukraine have made a pivotal move in Jeddah. The agreement comes at a crucial juncture in the conflict, with Ukraine agreeing to support a 30-day ceasefire proposal. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio stressed that the ball is now in Russia's court.
Today we made an offer that the Ukrainians have accepted, which is to enter into a ceasefire and into immediate negotiations to end this conflict in a way that's enduring and sustainable and accounts for their interests, their security, their ability to prosper as a nation. And we hope that they'll say yes, to peace. The ball is now in their court.
This agreement marks a notable shift in the U.S.-Ukraine relations, especially following a tense meeting between President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky just weeks ago. With U.S. military assistance and intelligence sharing now resumed, Ukraine is set to receive vital support to continue its defense against Russia's advances. Trump has stated that the U.S. will engage talks with Russia.
Hopefully President Putin will agree to that also, and we can get this show on the road. I think it's a big difference between the last visit you saw at the Oval Office and this. So That's a total ceasefire. Ukraine has agreed to it, and hopefully Russia will agree to it. We're going to meet with them later on today and tomorrow, and hopefully we'll be able to wipe out a deal. If we can't, we just keep going on and people are going to get killed, lots of people.
However, Russia's response remains uncertain. Russian President Vladimir Putin has previously shown resistance to ceasefires, preferring a long-term peace arrangement that guarantees Russia's security and avoids territorial concessions.
We are ready to peace, for just and lasting peace. This is very important. I think it's a really important day because, 3 years is a long period of time. And for the people in the world, it's necessary once again to understand, not Ukraine started this war.
While the resumption of military aid and intelligence sharing offers a glimmer of hope for Ukraine, the real test lies in Russia's willingness to engage in meaningful negotiations. Both sides face a complex and uncertain future, and only time will tell if these diplomatic efforts will lead to a lasting resolution. As global powers weigh in, the stakes are higher than ever, with the potential to shape the future of European security and international relations. This is Abdihamid Ali, GBS News.
Now to an update that has just come in. 6 weeks after Rwanda-backed rebel captured 2 major cities in the Eastern Democratic of Congo, the region is facing a setback in its fight against the Mpox outbreak. We'll keep you more updated on that story as it updates. And that's all for today at The Ambassador. Thank you for joining us as we covered latest development. We'll continue to bring updates on these stories and more as they unfold. Remember, this is The Ambassador, where we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics. I have been your ambassador, Susan Nganga. Good afternoon.
Everywhere, GBS.